gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to another MotoGp Mac podcast with me, Mac, and Jake. How are you doing, Jake?
Oh, phenomenal. Actually, phenomenal. I had one of the best Christmases ever. Why? Because my long-lost daughter, who I haven't seen in years, years and years, sent me a picture. Right? Can you see that? Look at the.
Yeah.
She sees that's a beautiful girl in the middle, and two adorable granddaughters to the left and right. This one is Fern. She's 5.
Okay.
And this one over here is Olive, and she's 8.
Hello,
right?
Fern and Olive.
And Olive, I'm very proud of you. She had to do a show in front of her whole class, right?
Okay.
And she did very well, right?
Brilliant.
The presentation in front of her whole class, and she wrote it to me. She spelled presentation correctly, so she has her mom's smarts and my charisma, like Pop-Pop's charisma. And also, after that, I was just so touched. Be honest with you, that meant more to me than getting a new bike or a Cadillac or anything. You know,
Awesome Christmas present.
Yeah, I did well in life, but family, kids, they mean more than anything. But anyhow, Fern is 5. She gave me a drawing of a rainbow. She loves rainbows. Okay. At 5, she wrote in the back, "Happy Christmas, 5, from Fern. Happy Christmas." And this one, drum roll please, we have Olive, who wrote me. She says, "I want to get you something you like." And she drew me a red motorcycle. Merry Christmas. She's a little Ducati enthusiast. I did not talk to her, so it's not mine. It's just in the blood.
In the blood.
In the blood.
And that does look like a Ducati.
Yes, it does.
Hats
Mhm.
off, Olive. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, has little clip-ons there.
Yeah.
Emily's mother was fearless on the back of the motorcycle. She was very naive, born-again Christian. Emily and the family is a born-again Christian, which I'm proud of, and I'm glad because a daughter, as a father, you didn't want to grow up with me and my group. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially if they want to be actresses, and I went out with actresses and stuff like that. They could just say, "Dad, can you give me a rehearsal time? Can you call somebody up for this?" And they give you the cow eyes, and you go, "Okay." Even though you don't want them to be an actress, I could get them breaks and stuff.
Yeah.
And she's a very good singer, and very smart. She got a full scholarship, for an academic scholarship.
Very good.
She wasn't for running or anything, and Virginia, the grandmother, and me were both Mensa members. So
Right, okay.
the kids have to be smart. They can't get around it.
That's it. You've no choice. You have to be smart.
You have to be smart. It's in the genes.
But fair play. Definitely.
But it made me as happy as I was just over the moon. I got it in the mail, didn't expect it, and I'm running up to the house, like a little kid who just got a puppy for Christmas. Like, oh my god, I want to open it. And by the way, girls, maybe Santa will bring you 2 puppy dogs for Christmas next year. Ooh. Just think if they're real good. One thing I forgot, by the way, Emily, and Fern and Olive, I love you very much. More than you'll ever know. Put it that way.
Well, I can certainly say that your Christmas present trumps my Christmas present of a Milwaukee drill. 110%.
As long as it's with love,
That's it. Yeah, it was bought with love. Yeah, I loved it when I bought it.
Me, I want to buy him a car. I want to spoil him. I was like, hey, you can have my house. I was like, roughly about $400,000 house. Like, I kick the bucket, keep the house. It's all paid. It's all paid for. I might as well.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure that they're good. And it's like I gave the other kids $1 million, and I didn't. And it screwed them up. I don't want to become bums.
Well, look, my dad always said, that tough times build strong people,
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Who build good times, who build
Yep.
weak people, who build tough times. So there's a
Yeah.
vicious circle there.
Yeah, but that's a hell of a great saying.
Yeah, yeah, it's something. It's something as a dad yourself. Do you know the way that when you try to spoil them a little bit too much, you're like, maybe you shouldn't. But look, I'm delighted that you had a great Christmas. You got so definitely the best Christmas present possible of those, and I'm particularly fan of both the pictures. I can't pick one over the other. You know, rainbows are rainbows, and motorbikes are motorbikes. Do you know what I mean? They both make you smile. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's good. I suppose we'll get on with Happy New Year to everyone. We're actually
Oh.
doing this on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
I'm
New Year's went over like a lead balloon this year. Like nobody cared, and it was like, Happy New Year. Yeah, so what?
Oh yeah. Well, I had about 3 bottles of wine last night, so I'm a
Oh.
little bit delicate, or a little bit. Let's
Oh.
just say.
Get this, Mac.
We say in Ireland in the horrors in the morning. So yeah.
Uh-oh. Get this. Talk about horror. It would kill you. Our family, never big drinkers. If I'm allergic to beer, like there's something in beer, I don't know if the hops, whatever. First one always tasted good. You're working on a hot day, working on a car. Kids used to do that.
Yeah.
And, first one tastes good. Call it 2 beer second. This is the second one. I take it and all of a sudden, and I would turn green. I was so sick. I mean, I'd be heaving up for 2 days, and I could never drink with the big boys. I'd go to the nightclubs. I lived in nightclubs, all right?
Yeah.
The girls say, "Can you dance?" I said, "Honey, I can make it rain." But I would drink vodka and orange juice because it's the sissy drink. That's the easy one to drink. And only had 2 because I didn't want to get all thick tongued. I wanted to go out with girls and dance and prance and romance. I didn't want to.
Yeah, we have a very different mentality here. I would be honest here, going out onto the dance floor is wasting drinking time. Right? You grab the girl at, say the disco finishes at 2:00 in the morning, right? So 5 to 2, you rush for the dance floor. And so I mean, that's Joe. But yeah, look.
Oh no! If we went to a nightclub, if you weren't out in 2 hours and didn't have a girl under your arm, that was like, what's the matter? Well, you're off. You're off. Your game's off. You should be at her place by now.
No, Irish mentality is that if you're out and you're out 2 hours and you're not already kind of somewhat flying in the way of getting drunk, you're off your game. Do you know what I mean? It's just a different mentality. But anyway, Happy New Year to everyone. As you can see, there's some changes within the whole podcast. We're trying new software, so anything happens audio or visually today, my apologies, but we're trying to change things up for 2023, get a little bit more catchy cool, I suppose, and develop things. So one of the topics I suppose we talk about was my last video of 2022, my 501st video actually.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I think Suzuki leaving for me is I put it as the last video because I think it was the right way to go out. You know what I mean? It's the last goodbye of 2022. Now Suzuki, for me, have always been, when they came back, the new color codes or new color schemes.
Beautiful.
It was always the most.
Yes.
Any time I went to a Grand Prix, I just wanted to go and see that. Even though I'm a Yamaha man, I would queue up to look at the Suzuki first. Do you know what I mean?
They always stood out on the grid because they were that beautiful.
Yeah, they were absolutely stunning, and it was always just like it was a kind of retro, but it was catchy cool of nowadays. So it was good. But I think the thing that stood out to me most about the Suzuki Suzuki team was how that team functioned, and you never really get you see Terdazzi and the boys dancing after winning a race in Ducati, but you never really see the pure emotion that you saw the last race that Suzuki was doing, like Davide Bravo there, Livio Super. You could see they were fighting back the tears. Alex Rins on the grid last race crying Do you know what I mean? Before going out and winning it. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, you know, all the way through the whole season, even though Suzuki pulled the plug, they stayed loyal to the team and to the riders to give them the best bike possible. It was very easy for Suzuki to say, okay, we're going to stop at the end of this year. We're not going to develop the bike for the rest of the year. Do you know what I mean? No new parts, ride what you did, but they still continued to pump money in. And I think for me, that just showed how loyal Japan was to Suzuki Europe. Do you know what I mean? And how Suzuki Europe was loyal into the team. And I think Alex Rins winning 2 of the last 3 races is the perfect mic drop to exit out of the championship. It's like, boop. Do you know what I mean? Especially when Honda didn't win anything.
I know. I know.
I just think it's really, really sad to see Suzuki go, I suppose. But I'm going to give you a Honda stat, right? I know every single Honda rider is going to love this, or every single Honda fan is going to love this.
Okay. They need a break.
They do. They do. And the reason that I'm doing it, and I'll tie all this in together in a minute, but the Honda or the RCV 211V.
Yes, their last good bike. The
Yes.
5V5.
V5 from 2002 to 2006.
Yes, almost their only good bike,
Is actually one of the most winning bikes in the whole of the MotoGP championship ever. It's won 58% of the races that it entered in.
Because it was like the best bike with the best rider, and you had Rossi, and he really didn't have competition rider-wise, anywhere close to him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It would be like Marquez. It's like Marquez. We didn't have anybody close to him for years and years, you know? And it just romped and stomped.
And the reason that I do bring that up is that the project leader, I can't remember his name now, who was head of the RCV 211 project, is now back.
Well, it's about time.
He is now back in charge of the RCV 213 project.
Yeah, I have another tip on that, by the way. So, after the RCV 211, Honda transferred 30% of their engineers over to the automotive division to make Civics and Accords, and they never hired them back.
Oh yeah, listen, look, there was
so they need to get on the ball, and
Yeah, and I think they are now. Look, there's been a bit of movement structurally in Japan. I would do a video on it, right? However, there is a lot of names that I cannot pronounce, and if I try to pronounce them, I'll get murdered. So, no, thank you very much. Do you know what I mean? But there is a lot of changes within Honda itself. And I think bringing your man back in, it's not going to make an instant change. Don't get me wrong.
No.
But again, there's a bit of a steady hand maybe being put on the project now of someone who knows what a good bike or a good engineered bike.
Somebody with innovation, because if that was one of Mr. Honda's hires, he went out and hired specifically guys that he thought out of college that were young, full of piss of vinegar, and were into new things, innovation. Because he said himself, I don't like Japanese engineers. I like the Europeans because the Europeans have innovations. The Japanese engineers will follow a bad idea over a cliff. So that's why he went out and did it different. Mr. Honda went with a European approach, and that's where you got the 6-cylinder 250cc bikes and the 5-cylinder 125s.
Yeah, when you look though, like the likes of Mr. Honda, right? He broke the mold to what a normal Japanese or even Chinese person is like. Like I've worked in China, right? And trying to, in a job, like if there was a bit of ambiguity about something, do you know what I mean? 9 times out of 10, they wouldn't be able to process what to do with it because the standard operating procedure is this. This is the, but this is the reality. What do we do? Do you know what I mean? And there's a lot of confusion there. And like, so yes, I think you're 100% right that like the European engineering or the way European engineering goes and testing goes, and like it's something that I love about Ducati in particular is that they will throw anything onto the bike and see does it work, and if
Yeah.
it falls off, who cares?
Yeah, they think on their feet. It's learn by failure, learn by your mistakes,
Yeah,
and that doesn't happen in Japan. They're like,
the wing falls off, we'll just put an extra rivet on it and send it back
Yes.
up again. Do you know what I mean? And look, that's also the hand that they're dealt,
Right.
because they have to. You know, they don't have that famous open testing that you always know about. But like that's what they have to do, and I look at it right. And like when we had Simon on, I think he gave us great insight into, you know, the mentality of why Honda, for example, wouldn't give Alex Marquez and Paul Espargaro stuff to test on the bike, even though Honda, like my view, Honda is so far behind. Like Ducati don't care what they're going to do, right?
yeah, right.
Anything Honda were testing,
They've done it. Yeah,
it was a copy of someone else's stuff.
Right.
Which is, no, look, don't get me wrong. It's great to see them testing it to try and get an understanding of what is the effects. 100% backing on that. But I think for me, you know, it's still like it took Yamaha 5 races before they came out with dyno wings. Do you know what I mean? Like, come on, please, someone in the aero department in Japan could put them on a 3D printer after seeing them on the back of the Ducati in Silverstone, and they would have been out within 2 races.
yeah. And another thing Mr. Honda said, and it goes along with this, is he said even when they get it right, the typical Japanese engineer, they go in the right direction, but they'll only stay on that one direction. When as time goes on, they don't change. It's just like the inline 4. Yamaha just kept it and kept it and kept it and kept it to have somebody come out and say, "Oh, change." They're like, "What? What do you mean change?"
I think that in my view there they've kept it to their own detriment. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
And like Simon was 100% right in it. You know what I mean? That it is very expensive to change, and it will be. But like you look what happened with Suzuki this year. You know, as soon as they turned the power right up, issues were happening.
boom.
Happening.
Yeah, they were blowing up as soon as they did that.
And I think, you know, I just think, how would I say, it's something that, like, there is still the potential, and like, there was a release on MotoGP.com that the project leader of M1 was like, oh look, if we believe that the V4 is better, we will certainly look at it. But for now, we're happy in the inline. Now, I personally think he's bluffing, right?
He's covering his ass because he didn't want to keep
Oh,
staying on it. Yeah, and he's
Right.
covering his ass, covering management's ass that wouldn't let him change, probably because he knew it was not.
Well,
It's become a physics problem with that crank being too big. They know it wasn't going to change.
Yeah, I just think they just don't have the time to, right. Look, let's be fair, right? If they turned around last year and decided to launch a V4, they would have lost Fabio. Because Fabio's going to say, right, I'm not going to.
I don't know.
I'm not going to stay here and develop a bike. You know.
Well, that's a kid being a punk then, because you know what
Oh, look, it is. Look,
Yeah.
these guys are ruthless for their championships.
Yeah, true.
Joe,
Yeah, they want to win. They want to win now.
And they want to win now, right? And look, you can't blame them. Like you look at Mark, Joe. We all thought when Mark came in 2013, right? Okay, he's this age,
Yeah.
right? He's going to win 15, 16 World Championships, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's a prize example to take what's in front of you now. Do you know what I mean? And worry about later. But I just think with like the way he was going was like, oh, you know, we think we're in the right direction now, still staying with the inline 4, and they probably are for now, right? Because the change to the V4, it's time, it's expensive. They have brought in the right people, in my view, right? And I just want to clarify with an awful lot of people who think that it's just this Marmoni guy. It's
Yeah.
a Marmoni group.
Group. Yeah.
Okay?
No. Right.
So if you can imagine this, it is not one fella going, oh, well, no, this is how
Right.
you do it, right? This is a whole firm, right? Mm-hmm. And to put it in context, it's like Honda going to Calyx to
Right.
build a swing arm. Mm-hmm. It's a company with knowledge of building a swing arm. So Yamaha are not, when they're sinking in with those guys, they're not starting off with a blank sheet of paper and not a clue what they're doing. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
These guys are a professional engine
Building. Yes. Yes.
Right.
It's
They
a whole
know-
house.
so
Yeah.
They have
The whole firm.
experience now with Aprilia as well, so they have an understanding of how or what are the needs of the engine. Like, it's not the highest horsepower that you can get out of that V4. It's the highest drivability
And the high and the durability.
and durability. Exactly. And
Yeah.
so they have an understanding of how to build a V4. It's
Right.
Yes, it's going to be time. There's going to have to be development. Yes, but it's still a 2-3 year project. That's just my view. And look, I'm looking at someone starting from scratch like Red Bull. It's a V6 engine, okay, a combustion engine, but they've started that engine in 2022.
Oh yeah.
But that's not. And what I mean they've started is that they've actually started and run the engine in 2022. So that means that they were going another 2 years earlier. Do you know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
To get to that point. But now they're going to develop that engine for 4 years
4 more years. Right.
before it's ready to hit the track. It's not going to be like that, I think, for Yamaha. I still believe that it's going to come out in 2026 with the regulations change.
So I thought that they were. I thought it was so obvious. I thought they have one in the wings, because. Oh, I'll clear up something. By the way, people are thinking that if they just hired Suzuki engineers, that Yamaha would have no problems. The Suzukis were blowing up all the first half of the season at least. They were blowing up. They blew 4 engines up out of 8. Okay, they were blowing up just like the Yamaha when they added in power. It's become a physics problem. I don't care what engineering group you have. It could be Ducati. It could be Marmoni Group. If they stay with the inline 4, it's just too big and heavy, and it's going to blow up. They ran that last 2 races. They looked good because they had that fresh engine that Dorna let them have, like everybody have, but they had that engine. If it wasn't for that, Rins would not have won. He'd have been in the put together with tape. He'd had no power. They would have had to turn it down for him to finish at best.
Yeah. They went over the ladder races, and I thought that was a very, very cute thing to do by Dorna. That you couldn't take that engine until a certain point.
Yeah.
The races had been completed. I was like, yeah, you absolute beauties, But yeah, I think Yamaha are definitely going to have to do something. No one understands still, and like Fabio came out during the week and he was like, I expected more from them, and the vibe from the interview that I got was like, is this him kind of already knowing that next year is going to be more of the same?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Is it going to be more of this? Start off strong with a couple of good races, powerful races, and then the dial just starts going down.
Yeah.
Personally, myself, I do think that's what it's going to be. It's going to be more of an engine management thing for him. They're going to pick their races where to turn the engine up and to turn the engine down. Do you know what I mean? Or I think they're going to pick an engine strategy in that just take the likes of Kota. Doesn't suit the Yamaha really, because it gets murdered down the straight. Because remember, if it comes off a slow corner onto a long straight, it's absolutely going to be nailed. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So, is it worth taking a brand new engine and starting at the pit lane from there just to keep the pool topped up?
Now, here's what I think's going to happen. Okay, Suzuki had a hell of a time just keeping the engines together, right? Because they had 4 blown up, 4 worn out to a frazzle. The ninth one saved him, but just in the 2021 races, okay, they barely made it across the line with blown up engines, okay?
Yeah.
Now, what's going to happen is, I think Yamaha, they're going to have all this big press. Where's the horsepower? Where's the horsepower? And getting the horsepower isn't the problem. It's the reliability. So they're going to give him for the press, okay, for the light, for the flash bulbs. They're going to have like the first couple races. They'll turn the power up and pray, like don't blow up in front of the camera,
Yep.
And then they're going to turn it down. Nobody's looking. They're going to have thing, or would you say they're going to have excuse of, we put a credit card arrow back there and it's sucking down the arrow's dragging us down. Sorry, we can't go any faster. All right. Yeah. And then they won't turn it up at all because they have all these extra, they have 1,600 more racing miles on there. Mm-hmm. So just across the finish line, I don't think they'll turn it up at all after that. They're going to do it for the cameras and then turn it right back. And poor Fabio's going to have to, he wore out halfway through the first season from going 110% every corner, every race, every lap.
There was something different. There was something different about him when he came back after the winter break.
He was just fried.
Yeah. Now, I think his approach, right, I think his approach was maybe a bit wrong as well. He didn't come out to win the championship. It was more manage the gap because he let's be fair, right? Towards the end of the season last year when he won it, right? Mm-hmm. Pecco made the mistakes, and I think he felt that Pecco was going to make the mistakes again. What happened though, right? Pecco had a pig first half of the season.
Yeah,
an absolutely amazing second. Like he went on 5 races. He took 4 wins in a second. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, he had 5 wins in a second.
Was it 5? I think
5 wins in a second. But the first 5 races, they were coming in 12th because they had those 8. They put out 8 bikes and didn't have enough testing. No open testing. And they didn't have the mapping right. And so it took them 5 races because they're trying to test as they race. And that's why they don't want to have those 8 bikes again. It's just too much work, Yeah,
well, look. Ducati made it rad for themselves, right?
Oh, they added insult to injury. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Right. Look, it turned out to be the right decision because they won the manufacturers' championship. Do you know what I mean? Like,
they won everything.
They won everything, which is fine. But I think when I look at it, it's just like Pecco had a nightmare in the first half and had an excellent second half. Fabio had a very good first half and a nightmare second half. So when you did the points out and balance it out, you can see the overlap there. But I think, when I look, what I feel just with Fabio, and look, I'm a Yamaha fan, right? So I just feel that Fabio entered this in that I'm just going to protect my points rather than go try and win it. You know what I mean? Manage the gap, which is right. Don't get me wrong, right? Mm-hmm. If you're thinking championship, right, you can certainly lose the championship by trying to win it, but if
not falling off,
And he did. He had a couple. Look, he still, in my view, blames Yamaha quite a lot. And in the interview, he was like, me and my team, we've made mistakes. I.e., I've fallen off and I've made a balls of it.
Right.
And then we've had other silly issues like over inflated tires or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the fact that he'd even just bring that line into the interview shows exactly that he's still upset or annoyed or holding them accountable. Now, saying that, right, Pecco was still making mistakes in the good thing, like Japan. Like Pecco made that championship second half, say the last 4 races, he made that very hard work for himself. Mm-hmm. Very, very hard work. Do you know what I mean? Like all he had to do in Japan, right? Was just
finish.
Sit there. Just sit there. Even if he scored a point or 2 more than him, and he tried an impossible move. It was never going to work.
Yeah, he would have lost 2 points instead of 18.
Now, I do think Pecco's going to be a bit of a different animal next year. And here's why I believe it. Right, is that when you start out at racing, right, your first thing is probably podium. Right, you get to the podium. Then when you get to the podium, you want to get to a win. Right. Then when you get your win, you start believing, okay, maybe I could win the championship. Then when you win a championship, you want to win another championship. But the experience that you gain battling for a championship and the mindset and understanding that you have of your own abilities, it's about no one else.
And controlling that pressure.
Exactly.
Of every, yeah.
And I personally think, okay, let's look at, there was the Ducati problem that they changed the engine with it 2 weeks to go, right?
2 weeks. 2 weeks. They didn't have anything. It was 3 days.
I don't know. No, it wasn't. It was.
No,
they decided at Mandalika test, so that's when the change is going to happen, because you can see the change.
You're talking about the 22.5 engine?
Yeah.
Now, I read numerous places they had just finished it 3 days before, so it had no testing whatsoever.
No, I'm not 100% in that. I was aware that they changed the exhaust system, which was leading back to it, and that was
the 22. That was the 22.
That was the 22 exhaust, but they had the 23 exhaust, which was the long one, and they redeveloped the exhaust in line with that engine. That's my understanding.
I thought that went with the 22, and the 22.5 was something that they like botched. It was an outside thought. They put it together, and then Pecco picked it. And Pecco can't even pick tires. I wouldn't never let him pick an engine.
He picked it, but so I think he picked it in Mandalika. That's my point. Is that that engine was out there in Mandalika, and then that's when they picked it. So they had only a few weeks. Which, look, that was one point that I think Pecco then came into the championship after battling against Fabio. And everyone was like, well, Jesus, Pecco should win this time. Do you know what I mean? There was massive pressure on him, and I think that's what actually happened more so in the crashes. No, Bastianini didn't help, right? But I think that's what happened more so in the crashes, is that it was more pressure.
Yeah, definitely.
His first one in Qatar with Martin, that was like, you wouldn't see a rookie doing it. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, that's when he went wide, and he just...
No,
turned right in.
He went into him, yeah.
Yeah, he was like, what are you doing?
Exactly. But look, I think it's one of the things that I think Pecco will be mentally stronger, and I think that's going to make the fight with Bastianini even more interesting in my mind, because Pecco, I suppose he walks now with a bigger chest. Is saying in Ireland, you know what I mean? That he has that inner confidence now that I know what I can do, and I will never quit on myself. You know?
I'll tell you what really surprised me was Bastianini. I always thought he was going to be a good second rider, because for the first half of the season, he just didn't seem to have the speed of Pecco, right? The raw speed. And I thought, well, if he doesn't have the raw speed, he's like Miller. He's not going to challenge him all the time. So you don't have the same two riders fighting over the same placement, okay? Yeah. Then he stepped up his speed. And wow, did he step up his speed. He went, all of a sudden, he went from slower than Martin to, I'm beating you. I'll go nose to nose with you, and he just romped and stomped all over Martin. Well, he was doing Martin speed all day.
That was Ducati putting the carrot out in front of them. Do you know
what but putting the carrot out and actually pulling it off to get that extra speed is another story.
It is, but I
didn't think he had it in him for that extra speed.
Everyone was going on that it was going to be Martin that was in the factory. So if you look at it for his point of view, right? Ducati want me, regardless of what's going to happen next year.
Yes,
I'm going to be on a factory bike, right? Yeah, if I blow him out of the water, grand. If I crash, you know what I mean? But I'm towards the front, they're going to be like, okay.
You're talking about Bastianini's thinking this.
Yeah, Bastianini.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, so for me, like, he was in a zero-lose situation.
Yeah, win-win situation.
Yeah, whereas Martin was in a win-lose situation.
Yeah, but when you looked at it, what was Bastianini known for? tires, saving tire conservation.
Yeah.
You don't usually see. Wendy does the last time we saw a guy. Wow, he is great at tire conservation and he's lightning fast. The two don't usually go together.
They don't.
The faster you are, usually they burn up tires more. You can go through tires. It's just kind of a natural way of things.
I think he got more aggressive than being faster, and if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Whereas
now his times went down. He got better at qualifying.
He's not. He's not better at qualifying. He's very hit and miss on, and like for me next.
Yeah, but
year,
that was when that's when his crew chief had COVID. But when he came back, he started to get more consistent and faster with qualifying.
No, his qualifying is a problem. It's a big problem because he's not consistent in it. And if you look at his racing, his thing, he did get better towards the end of it. In races, but he would go missing for a few races, or if it gets wet.
Wet. He never got that out. No, he never improved on that. I didn't see it anyway.
Mm-hmm. So, for me, like, if in a head-to-head, if he starts off and he's in the group, he's very dangerous. Mm-hmm. If he's back, row 2, row 3, row 3, row 4, he's in a bit of trouble. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think for him next year, that's the consistency he needs to worry about, is that he needs to turn up every race weekend. Do you know what I mean? Because there was a lot of race weekends last year he didn't turn up. Do you know?
Yeah.
Now, saying that, and like, this is one of the things I do want to kind of acknowledge, right, is that, a satellite bike could win the World Championship.
All day.
Now, a particular satellite bike at the moment, but, like, I still have this fascination with Marquez and Pramac. And I know it sounds a bit stupid, but... No,
it doesn't. That doesn't at all. Not with placement of the contracts. First off, you got to put him in somewhere, right? Marquez got to put him somewhere, right? Yeah. So what's easier to put him on? The contract with Pramac or one with the factory riders? So
the Pramac one is a factory one anyway.
And it is a factory, yeah, exactly.
So but like my view on this, right, is simple. Right? Alex Marquez is a very fast rider, right? Mm-hmm. He's gone to Gresini, right? He's got off the worst bike in the grid.
Yep.
And he's getting on
the best bike in the grid.
Right? If he all of a sudden becomes a top 6 rider, just say a top 6 consistently. Right?
Right.
Even though Mark says that, my brother's faster than me, right?
Yeah, that was that was a PR
that's a press
years ago. Right, yeah. Right.
I personally believe that Mark's management team will start making inroads in that. And the reason I'm saying Pramac is that Jorge Martin is out of contract at the end of 2024.
Right.
23. He only has a 1-year deal. If there is no improvement in Honda,
right,
I think that's the switch could happen, right? And the question I have here, right, who in Spain would sell more Ducatis, Marc Marquez or Jorge Martin?
All day, Marc Marquez. Oh my God!
It would be a massive.
They'd be kicking down the dealership doors to buy. They'd be buying Ducati scooters for God's sake.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a commercial thing there. Now, there's a lot of people saying, he won't get 25 million, they won't pay it.
No, he won't, because they can't afford it. But what he's going to do, they can't pull the $25 million in the budget. That's all there is to it.
If you went to any rider, and said, here's 10 million or a world championship.
Yeah.
For the rest of your life, you can have that. What are you going to take?
Yeah, especially when you got $100 million in the bank,
Mark doesn't care about money. Fabio doesn't care about money. They care about legacy now, right? And even Pecco is joining that club, right? He has one world championship now. He needs another. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, right, the second world championship that you have vindicates your first one. Mm-hmm. Right? So It's like, it proves it's not a fluke. I I am that quality of a rider, right? And it is an ego show, right? So
Oh
for
yeah.
me, when I'm looking at it, I'm like going, okay, Alex Marquez performs on a non-factory Ducati contract. Remember, his contract is with Gresini. It's
Right.
nothing to do with Ducati. Now, Ducati are definitely massaging him, though,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Because Alex Marquez said that Gigi Dall'Igna, even though he's not on a factory contract, came
Yep.
into the garage in the Valencia test, introduced himself and the other senior engineers in Ducati, and talked to him about his feedback about the
Yep.
bike. And I'm like, 1 second now. I was like,
And
what
what
is he-
did what was one of Alex Marquez's grapes? They only listened to my brother. Nobody listened to me at Honda. First time he goes into there, but who does he have talking to him?
head engineer? And
Yep.
that is the thing. Do you know what I mean? And for me, when I look at these things, I'm like going, right, if they're going to make him feel special, that's all he wanted, right?
Yeah.
You know, American Alex do talk, right?
Yeah.
We don't
We don't talk. Yeah, remember that?
yeah. How's the diet going? Shut up.
yeah.
You know?
And what did they say first time they got in the car? Hey, how's the bike? Yeah, yeah. They were.
Exactly. And look, like for me, when I'm just looking at this, right, Alex has an awful lot of influence on Mark. Right? If Mark is flat out risking his everything, and Alex is sitting back with his arm out the window and finishing maybe a place above or below him, right?
Yeah.
He's enjoying his racing. Life is good. Are you telling me Mark is not going to be second guessing and saying, "Can you get me on a Ducati?"
Yeah.
Because Marquez does not want to go to his grave knowing that Rossi has more world championships than him.
And
Hell
think
no.
about it. Marquez has been hearing, go to Ducati, that Honda sucks since 2014, 2015.
Yep.
It's been that long.
Yep.
They haven't fixed that bike forever. They've been relying on his skills for a decade.
Yeah, and I think look, and that's Joe. That's the other thing. Like he has been very loyal to Honda. You know?
Yes.
And he has
Too loyal, in my
too
opinion.
loyal. Yeah. Now look, I still think the problem is going to be Honda letting them out of the contract. But look, contracts can be. Do you know what I mean? Like Ducati can't afford to buy him out of the contract. Do you know what I mean?
No, they can't. No,
No,
they don't
Mark
have
could
money.
probably afford to get himself out of the contract, but again, how much does he want those world championships? And I think he does want them a lot. The other thing I suppose with that though is like I think it's just very interesting that Joe, what Alex said about Mark, you know, in the context of you know, trying to find himself again, and I definitely think Mark doesn't enjoy his racing at the moment at all.
No. Didn't you say he was PO'd when he was talking to Alex in the car?
Yeah.
They were going over it?
Yeah, he was very, very angry, and he was like, you know, yeah, we tried a load of new parts, nothing worked, and
Nothing worked, right.
It is what it is, right?
As Alex is going, man, that was the greatest bike I've ever been on. You know?
Yeah. It's like a supermodel girlfriend, and then you bring your friend on a double date, and the sister isn't.
Yeah.
The sister doesn't match the profile, like, you know.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And but look, I think
She has a great personality.
That's it. But I definitely think, you know, like someone said that a satellite bike will never win the championship. Put Mark on a Ducati,
Yeah.
even a Gresini Ducati, and he will be up there. And we have to remember Bastianini on a Gresini Ducati finished
A year old one.
Yeah.
Or 2-year-old.
No, it was a year old.
A year old. Yeah, at the time,
But
yes.
but saying that, then he had an awful lot of 22 parts, and that's the other thing. Hats off to
Right.
Ducati. They put him in a fight with someone that was on a 22, and they developed both bikes so that they both had a fair and equal chance of
Right.
fighting. So,
But it shows you how close they are, especially if you
Yeah.
think a Primac bike is like I say, Primac bikes are almost they're a carbon copy. And even if Marquez is on a Primac, guess what? He's getting the park just as fast as Pecco is.
You see, and this is the thing for me when I look at it, right? Like Ducati are only ever really going to be making tweaks, right? They're not going to come out with something that's half a second faster, right?
Yeah.
So the difference is even between a 21, 22, and 23, maybe a tenth,
Right.
if even, maybe half a tenth. Or maybe it might be something that the positioning for the rider is a little bit more. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to be a massive light year jump in performance, right? And this is where Honda, Yamaha, even KTM are all in trouble. Is that gap that they need to get to Ducati is so big. Like I would call it, in my view, race pace. I would call it nearly a second, right?
I don't know. The Aprilia, I think, is a dark horse. I think it's better than people think because they really haven't had that. They have Ducati syndrome where they didn't have a good rider. Like the bike can't really show itself.
Yeah, that's why I didn't mention Aprilia though.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't say it. Well, okay. All right. Caught me off on that one.
Yeah, but I think like the gap between KTM, Honda, and Yamaha is so big, right? Like even if they make a 3/4 second update, right? And Ducati make half a tenth to a tenth for 2023, they're actually only closing down 2/10, but they're still 8/10 of a second behind pace.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm talking race pace now, not qualification.
Not qualifying pace, yeah.
So when I look at it, then I'm just like, that's where the problem is going to continue all through this year until Honda. Now KTM, as Simon said, are making the right noises, and Brad was very, very happy with corner entry and corner exit of the KTM, which we know they have a killer engine anyway. So maybe they can develop it a little bit more, get out of the hole, as Simon said. But I'm already kind of in a defeative year for Honda and Yamaha. I'm like, oh no, God, like,
Yeah.
Fabio will fight, Mark will fight.
Poor Fabio next year. I mean, you just think he's been going, like I said, he was going that 110%, okay, and just fried out by the halfway through the year. It's so tough to go, I got to go out and I got to do 110% every stinking corner, every stinking lap for the whole race after race. And now he has sprint races, right? On top of it. How fast is he going to be? I mean, it's one right after the other after the other. How fast is he going to wear down? And I think that's half of the reason that he protected that lead. Yeah. Because when that happens, you start to get at your wit's end. What are you going to go for?
Oh, yeah,
You're going to think, okay, I had enough. I'll protect what I have. It's safer. I don't want to crash. Okay.
You stop enjoying your racing. Do you know what I mean? And look, that's it's a major thing for Fabio, is that he needs to have fun when he's racing, to go to that limit, right? To enjoy it. I think.
And he caught so much hell when he did crash. Remember?
Oh, he did, man.
I was like, what do you expect? I mean,
but I've never seen him so angry though than he was in was it Thailand after the tire pressure show. Like, he went off social media, he didn't do any press.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, he did that a couple times. The one time he just didn't have enough power. He just went away. He just didn't talk to anybody because it was obvious that the bike wasn't going anywhere. He was getting blown away.
But look, I think sprint races, I think for the fans,
it's great.
I'm super excited. Listen, look, I am not there. I don't go to a Grand Prix to watch them practice. I go there to watch them race.
Yeah.
Simple as, right? I think for the machinery, I think it's like 1,600 kilometers extra. Now, someone said quite recently on the channel, about, well, they might do 20 laps in a practice session. And it's like, yeah, but...
No, that ain't the same. That's not even... apples and oranges, pal.
For me, right, the way I would always look at it is that when I was practicing, I would do one fast lap and then see how close I could... Because I was testing my tires or tire life or whatever, right?
They all do that. Nobody goes out on practice and goes fast they can the whole time. No. They let the engine cool. They go into the pits, they pump out, right?
There's moderation. They might go out and do 4 or 5 lap stints, right? But of those 5 laps, you have an in lap and an out lap, right? Mm-hmm. So it's only 3 racing laps, or 3 fastest laps, right? Just say. So I think it is going to increase the wear on the engines, which is going to be trouble for Yamaha, especially.
It's going to be tough for everybody. I don't know how they're.
But I'm more worried about the riders, to be honest, and I can see why they're still a little bit upset with, like, cause, well, a good few of the riders don't like it, right? They don't like the idea of it, you know.
Yamaha hated it. Remember when it first came out?
Yeah.
They're like, oh my god.
Yeah. I think the only one that's really positive about it is Mark, and I think Mark is the reason Mark is like, just because Mark just enjoy. Like, I think Mark will be using people to slow him down.
Yeah.
Forget about the brakes, but I think no, genuinely.
Bash.
I just think sprint races, for me, I think bring back a little bit of originality for racing, right? So you're going to have low fuel, soft tires. Well, not soft tires, but you know what I mean? The bike is going to be as light as possible for a minimum race, right? It's not going to be a long race where you have to think a strategy of tires. If it's a 20-lap race on the Sunday, it's going to be a 10-lap sprint, right? So it's 50% of the race distance, right?
Right, and pure racing is what makes MotoGP the best racing in the world, because it's not like cars where they have the pit stops and we're gonna see gas strategy and all that crap. It's like,
exactly.
I could care less at NASCAR if Billy Bob can change tires better than Bobby Sue. Who cares? It's like standing beside a highway watching the cars go by. They're so far apart.
Look, that's for me where it's coming back to. For riders and machines, it's an absolute terrible thing to do. For the fans,
phenomenal.
Do you know what I mean? And people will buy it. I'm still not, but I'll be honest, I'm still not 100% sure is the every race route right? That, because there is some boring races where the field does spread out after 3 laps. Do you know what I mean? And you're like, you know what I mean? Two of those races, right? But I think. Look, I don't think it's going to be a bad thing for the sport. I'm excited to see how it goes, and then of course next year Joe, or for this year actually, should I say, because we are in 2023. You know, I just think, you know, Dorna have got to sort out the fans as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you look at the audience that is there, some races there's good attendance, other races there's pitiful attendance. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And they have to bring those people back into the track.
And you know what? Even we're MotoGP fanatics, okay? But the TV, you can see it on the TV so well. But I really, to me, I look at it and go, I can see it the best way I can see the race is on TV.
Yeah.
You know.
But as a fan, the best way you can see the race is to feel it.
Well, I owned a Superbike team, all right, and I was like, you know, I wish I had a TV here. I could see my riders, you know, because I was like, oh shit, they're gone.
I love going to Catalonia, and I always go to turn 1, right? And one of my favorite things, and obviously I wasn't there this year, but if I was there this year, I would have seen Taka do his dive bomb on Rins. But I actually go, and if you like, look down the main straight coming down. So the bike, so on the opening lap of the race, I stand by the fence, right? And I watch the bikes coming down right straight at me. Do you know what I mean? And it's one of the most frightening fucking things you will ever see in your life, because, Joe, you're like, you have cold tires.
Yeah.
You're coming that fast, and there's 20 of you. Right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of like, do you know what I mean? A bike can hit the fence, like, do you know what I mean? So it's just, but it's brilliant. Do you know what I mean? And like, that's the memory that I take back. And I come home and I watch it on TV, right? But I don't forget the feeling that I had. I've missed everything else of the commentators and whatever, because it's all in Spanish anyway, right?
Right.
I have a screen there that follows the things, right? I can either listen to MotoGP on the phone or whatever, but I would just like, it's like in person, is it? And I think that magic has somehow gone away. Is it pricing? Maybe. So, like going to a MotoGP race, I looked at Catalonia this year, right? So the VIP one, and for the 3 days in the VIP section, this means now that you get to go out in the BMW Jeeps around the track as the boys are going out there. So you're actually trackside, and it's €1,800. So, I'm like, that's okay. Do you know what I mean? For me, that level of access, you're in the pit lane, you're meeting the riders. Do you know what I mean? But if you want to get into a grandstand in Catalonia, it's €95 for the weekend. I'm like, that's cheap as chips.
I was gonna say that's nothing.
You know, it's nothing. So, but England, Mugello, for instance, they were pitiful. More fans at a BSB race, British Superbike race, which is a domestic championship,
Right.
than at a MotoGP race. You know, and so like Dornan definitely do need to sort that out. I do have a question actually and it's actually a very, very good question.
Well, we have good members.
We do, right? But I think 1 second. I just need to get it there because it's something that I have been thinking about for a while. So I'll definitely have to figure this out. So Ian Ellison, 77. And
Yes.
This is proof that we're actually doing this on New Year's Day because within the last hour he's like, Happy New Year, Mac. And to you too, Ian. Any plans for when you hit 10k subs soon?
Wow.
Yeah,
10K.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Guys, we already have people, the higher ups, like higher ups at Yamaha and Honda and FIM and Dorna, listen to us. We've picked that up on that. So,
Yes, and so just to give a bit of insight into that, I think we said a certain few phrases, and a couple of days later, those phrases were repeated.
Yep. Yeah.
Not just by people within the paddock, but also other channels. And look, for me, long may it continue. I don't care if someone does a video on a topic that I've done already. More power to them. The more people talk about MotoGP, the more
the better. Yeah.
MotoGP gets, and I'm happy with it. So, but I think, we will definitely do something for 10k.
Yeah, we got to do something.
Something. We will definitely do it. It's still a long way off. It will hopefully happen this year, but it is still a long way off. And every week I'm trying to get people, and I'm going to try and regularly get people on that are specialists in areas or riders or something on that we can talk to people about their journey or whatever. And like I'm currently talking with a guy called Manxman.
Manxman, yeah.
Yeah, so Manxman lives in the Isle of Man. And he's a great road racing. He's some great footage and stuff like that, and I'm trying to arrange that we'll do like maybe a 20-minute interview with him and Sleepwalker, who is a massive road racing fan as well.
Oh yeah, Sleep. Yep.
So getting the two of them together, in my view, would be like girls having a pillow fight.
Yeah.
So I think, look, it'll be interesting. Of course, trying to get some riders on, talk about what they think of even the new stuff. I think it'll be very hard to get a MotoGP rider, but you never know.
You never know. Maybe we get an ex-MotoGP rider.
Well, we've had one of those.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Another one. Yeah. I say we get Freddie Spencer. He talks to anybody.
Yeah. I will reach out to Freddie Spencer. I don't think I'll get much of a reply, but I will definitely. And look, yeah, I think what has happened for the channel in 2022 has been amazing. Far out, or far exceeded my expectations.
Yeah.
If I'm very honest. but I'm always still very humble. Like this day last year, I launched my first video. And I got, I think in the first week, I think it's like 11 views or something.
Yeah. You know what? I think part of the success is a big part. It's because there's no bias. Okay,
Yeah.
we always said it's great to be a fan. We want you to be a fan. We just don't put up with fanboys making shit up, as they go to promote whatever the hell they're being delirious. Okay, but we tell it like it is. We don't. No one gets a free pass. Ducati doesn't get a free pass. Aprilia doesn't get a free pass. They screw up, they get hell, just like everybody else.
Exactly. Yeah. And look, that's.
If Honda comes out and they make the best bike tomorrow, we're gonna say Honda has really came alive and they made the best bike. Yeah.
I just complimented Honda by saying a Honda fact there a while ago.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And if I hated Honda or if I was biased against Honda, I wouldn't be mentioning it.
Right.
I think from myself is that I'm a fan of racing, right? And
MotoGP fan, the core, yes.
and if a rider comes out and does a brilliant race and wins the race, does
Right.
it really matter what manufacturer he is? No, if he
Exactly.
was out there
Exactly.
and didn't, and that's what I'm a fan of. I'm a fan of the whole racing and the life around it, right? I think for me, like I think Simon said a really, really good thing that we're proud of all of the riders. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? They go out and they go to war. Yes, they're egos, and yes, they're this, and this, that. But you can never ever. I would never ever hit their level, right? Ever, right? So, like they're doing something that I could never do, but I still love and I still have an opinion that I like to share, right?
Can you see me trying to outbreak somebody in a corner? I mean,
Well,
they used to say I look like Arnold Schwarzenegger on a 10-speed trying to break into corners. I'm like, and everybody, I just go past them.
you're fighting to keep your head up at that stage.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, come on, stop,
No,
Rob,
stop.
stop.
Yeah. But I just think for 2023, I would hope that we would get past 10,000 subscribers. But again, I didn't, when I started this, I didn't even think that I'd get to 1,000. We got to 7,000 by the end of the year.
Yeah, 1,500 seemed to be so far away. There.
Man, listen, and even if you go back to this thing, and this is one of the things I always kind of humble myself with, is that I always go back to my first month and remind myself that's where it started. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like 20, 30, 40 views on a video. Do you know what I mean? No one knew who I was, or no one knew about the channel, and no one knew this, that, and the other. And then when I look at it now, 4, 5, 6,000 views on a video, it's very rewarding. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You did all the work. You do all the work. I'm just over here to bullshit and do a song and dance.
Yeah, but look,
Yeah.
I think the podcast though shows a lot more than the videos could ever show. John, the videos show that more. Okay, we're talking about a subject, but the podcast brings across the fan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's very. That's where I think
The passion.
The
passion.
But it kind of helps people understand where the non-bias comes from. So I can turn around and say the Ducati had an absolute shit race this week.
Yeah.
And it's talking as a fan, not as a brand ambassador or
right. And a lot of them do that. I catch a lot of them being fanboys, and I tell them, I said, you're an announcer. You're not supposed to have bias. I said, but they do. And if they're flat bias, I've caught them lying.
Just don't ever watch Formula One on Sky Sports.
Why? Oh, I don't have. We're in America. We hardly get anything at all. I have to buy my subscriptions.
Yeah.
It's hard to buy them even. Yeah.
Even BT or it would be bad enough as well, Joe.
No, I'm a tech guy. So if China, if a Chinese company comes out, who's give me a China company, who's starting a race? There is one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, who's starting the? Give me a Chinese company. There's a Chinese motorcycle.
Fanatec, is it?
No. They make 600 bikes. Oh God, I'm having a brain fart. But they have their own series in the UK. The 600 cc's.
Do they?
Yeah. But anyhow, it'll come to me. If they come out suddenly and they say we're going to make a MotoGP bike, and they've talked about this going to a F1 house, engineering house, and they have them build a MotoGP bike, and it's a great MotoGP bike, I'll give them all the credit in the world. And I don't care if they're Chinese, you know.
That's the main thing is about the sport, and that's all we're here is an ambassador to talk about what we think. About, I'm not saying we're right or wrong. It is our opinion, but I'm just very thankful for everyone for the support. In 2022, 2023, if we hit 10,000 subscribers, yes, we'll have to do something. That would be a major milestone. So yeah. So the answer to the question in a very long answer is yes.
Yeah. God, it's something Moto. It's a Chinese company. The C Moto or something like that.
It's okay. The minute the podcast will end,
I'll know any hints. I'll just go. I'll hit it on the. I don't know how to search Google while we're on here, so I'll put Chinese motorcycle company. It'll come right to me. CF Moto. There you go.
CF Moto.
Yeah, CF Moto has their own racing series in the UK and a couple other countries, and they have a ton of money. I don't know if you know that. They sell a ton of motorcycles. Oh God, they must sell 1 million motorcycles. CF Moto, and they're inching towards racing, big racing. Now they were talking like BMW when BMW first went into World Superbike. You know what they were talking about? They said once we capture the World Superbike title, they said then we'll go into MotoGP. And how we're going to do it is we're going to go into an F1 engineering house. We're going to have them build the whole bike, and we're going to slap BMW on the side of it.
Yep. Makes sense, right?
Right. And I'd love to see that because that would be, something different. I'd love to see F1 tech and,
yeah, but look, it's interesting though. And F1 tech is good, right? But F1 engine philosophy is a lot different to MotoGP.
Well, yeah, they don't have to have it manageable because they've done it before.
Yeah. Like F1, like for the internal combustion engine side of it, right? Because remember, they've all these fucking hybrid this and that. And
I hate that. The electric engine's tied to it and all that bullshit. Yeah.
So, like, they F1's thing is like get the engine to produce as much horsepower as possible. You have two 18-inch tires with, or whatever it is, on the back, right, to get that tire or that power down. So you're fine. You know what I mean? It can handle it.
But you know what's interesting? If you take their engines and minus the electric side of it, just the internal combustion side of it, they have less horsepower per liter than a MotoGP bike does.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe it's 500 horsepower from the 1.6. Yeah, I think something in the region of that.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting, all right, to see could an F1 thing. But I think BMW got a slap in the ass because they haven't been able to manage it. They completely underestimated the difficulty of winning a championship in World Superbikes.
Oh yeah.
Now saying that,
and World Superbike, they want to do everything themselves. They have their own electronics. They go with their own brakes, like they Nissan instead of Olin's. That they go to different suspension. Everything's different. Everything they do is their own brand.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's just interesting. I just think,
and their own electronics from the ground up.
Yeah.
Do you know how hard that is?
Yeah. It's silly especially when you could buy it and just bolt it on.
Yeah. Yes. Instead of going Morta Marini or Magnaretti, I never get that right. Morelli.
I just gotta leave you struggling with.
Yeah, go to hell. What is it? Magnetti Morelli. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Magnetti Morelli.
Whoa.
Everyone has Magnetti Morelli. They're building their own electronics. It's like, why? They had they have a satellite bike they keep there. It has the Magneti Morelli bike, and it's better than the factory one, right off the bat.
But look, even the factory riders, I'm just not sure they're the right people either. Do you know what I mean? Look, they're definitely making it hard. They've very much, in my view, underestimated.
And they have big riders.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Redding is a heavy boy, like. Do you know
Yeah.
Now, look, he had a better season than Mickey van der Meer, but I just think it's going to be interesting. And
they signed Vandermark again. Can you believe it? Yeah.
Well, I think they had to because he had so many injuries this year. He kind of had a pass. Like,
yeah, but even before the injuries, he wasn't doing shit for Shinola.
Yeah. Well, look, the bike. Look, in fairness, like the bike. But did they get a Calyx swing arm as well? I'm sure
yes.
They got a Calyx swing arm.
That helped them out a lot, right?
Yeah. You can see it.
Yeah. And it has power. And now, they let Honda do let them to change the chassis, and I think and Honda's never got a penalty for being too fast, even though they're the fastest bike on the grid.
In a straight
top speed in a straight line.
yeah,
we gotta send that out before the guys go. Well, the Honda guys go nuts. Anyhow, it can't handle for shit. Real big surprise. The CBR 1000 RRR. But they're allowing them and BMW. They're allowing to change the chassis, which is totally unfair.
Yes.
Think of poor Kawasaki. They've had two things for going too fast with the oldest engine design in World Superbike.
I think like Honda, Honda they're allowed to change the headstock of the bike, and with BMW, I think it's the side rails and the chassis that they're allowed to change. So,
but when you're changing the headstock, you're also changing the flexibility. If you're changing the headstock, that's changing everything.
Yeah. But World Super, like Scott Smart said, that the goal here is to bring everyone together.
Well, that's what I'd say too if I had somebody paying me.
Yeah, look, Scott Smart.
Yeah, that's how I call him smart. Right?
I think he's FIM, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, but look, it's been. I think it's been a good kickoff to the first show of 2023. I'm absolutely delighted that you had a brilliant Christmas and a Christmas.
I know. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is for me, there's nothing in this world more important than family, Christmas time, and get a surprise like that, man. You're a lucky guy. And
yeah. I just want to give him stuff. I want to help him out. I know tough times. Nobody has a pot to piss in or a window to throw it at it, and I just want to help everybody out. It's not a deal from the devil. It's just I want to help you out. I don't. There's no way of getting around it. It's not like I'm buying green bananas. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, listen.
With a health problem, with a cancer bit. So, I might as well. I want to see it, help him out while I can, while I can see it. Like I said, every kid should have a puppy. You have 2 kids, 2 puppies. A yellow lab and a boxer. They're great with kids.
Yeah.
I would have a ball.
Yeah, they don't stay puppies for long though.
Yeah, and their kids don't stay kids for long.
That's it.
Yeah.
But look, man, go and make sure that you enjoy it.
They want me to go to church though, so I'm just going to go walk in and burn. I mean, boof! I'll light on fire.
I was just thinking that there. You want to put on like factor 100 sun cream and go in there. But look, great session today. Thank you so much, and thank you so much to everyone.
Thank you, pal. I have a blast. Glad you had me on.
That's not subscribing, but still watching. Look, we're just a pair of MotoGP fans
Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah, we'll talk MotoGP for hours and hours. But yeah, look,
and give him a couple of bucks. Don't be a Jew at Christmas. Give him a couple coffees. I buy him coffees and beers. They're only $5 a piece, for God's sake.
That's it. Well, look, you don't have to. But
subscribe.
It is more than welcome, and and listen, look, subscribe, enjoy the channel. Even if you don't like and subscribe, I just hope you enjoy it.
Yeah,
that's what it's all there for. And
we will. Oh! By the way, what I showed you, guys, Moto course. This came out. I'm not selling them or anything. I just figure it's good for you guys. The 2023 calendar. You can get it through Amazon. It's $20, right? It's a good price for a calendar, regardless, right? Mm-hmm. And it tells you all the testing and when the races are on, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go on the computer and how do you pick up testing dates on the computer? And there's not enough testing dates on there to begin with. So
I'm gonna start charging you $5 every time you mention open testing.
I'll listen, Grandpa. There's no downside to open testing.
It's $10.
Yeah, just think, you're a Yamaha fan, for God's sake. They're so far behind. You should be the last one to be bitching about open testing.
I'm not bitching. I'm just saying it's not going to happen. So I'm being a realist.
Yeah, well,
I'm keeping my dreams in check.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like the people. We're not busting your shoes for being Honda fans. We just don't want to get you all, your hopes up too high.
To truly crush one's dreams, you have
to. Yeah, we don't want to crush your dreams.
Really high. But yeah, look. Thank you again, everyone, and look, we'll wrap it up there for this week, and we will see you again next week.
Hasta la vista, folks.
Have a good one.
And girls, love you to death. Really do. Use me. Buy something. I'll send you a vacation. I'll take everybody to the Bahamas or something in the middle of February.
That's a nice one. We'll just do a podcast though that week.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see the palm trees in the back.
Anyway, radio. Have a good one.
On a scooter.
We'll see you next week.
All right, see you guys.